very privileged to be here today. Privileged as the token male here talking about gender diversity, but I'm really happy to be in Vietnam and here in Ho Chi Minh. Thank you for the introduction, Ryan. My name's Scott Pugh. I work at LinkedIn. I've been at LinkedIn for just over 6 years now. And I run our global accounts business across the whole of the Asia-Pacific region, which, as we all know, is a very diverse group of countries. And what I really wanted to do today was share my personal story, but also the story of the journey that LinkedIn has been through over the last few years around diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and really with a focus on gender diversity, because that's what we're all here to speak about. So you'll see here, there's me and my good lady wife. That's my wife, Indra. We met in Sydney about 15, 16 years ago now. I was a lowly backpacker, just exploring Australia. She was a high-flying exec within the cosmetic industry. And we've been very lucky to have lived across the world. We lived in Sydney, in London, in Hong Kong, and now Singapore. And actually, much of that journey has been around me supporting my wife on her career journey. She now runs the Asia-Pacific region for one of the prominent cosmetic organizations in the world. And I've been able to learn through her experiences about the challenges for women to sort of breach the gap to become a senior executive. And I think for all of you aspiring females to become senior executives, it's very important to have both allies at work, but also allies at home that's going to be able to support you on your journey and support and for your people in your organization. There's my young son, Luca. He's just turned 4 years old. That's us at Hong Kong Disneyland. My son is obsessed with princesses. I think he watched Frozen when he was like 1 or 2 and saw the strong female that was Elsa, and he's been absolutely obsessed ever since. We queued for about 1 hour to have that photo with Sophia at Hong Kong Disneyland. And there you'll see him dressed as Anna with his friend Imogen. Do you know what? I was taking these photos so that when he was 21 years old, I could share them to embarrass him. But I'm quite surprised I'm sharing them with you here today. But the reason I'm sharing them with you is because, for me, diversity and inclusion is nothing without belonging. And what that means to me at home is allowing my family to be who they want to be, to allowing them to bring their true self, and not trying to force people into pigeonholes. And really that, when I think about my team at work, so as I mentioned, I manage the Asia-Pacific region. We cover everything from Japan to Australia to India, Hong Kong, Singapore. And I find it's really important that we represent the cultures, the markets that we operate in. And I really strive to be able to create a diverse workforce within my team so that we can have people from different backgrounds, from different ethnicities, to bring different thoughts and ideas. It's really, really critical to enable the success of our team. So thankfully, a few of you know about LinkedIn. It sounded like there was a bit of reaction that you're aware of us. But just to give you a very quick abridged version, the mission of LinkedIn is about connecting the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. So this very much been focused on white-collar knowledge workers, professionals, and helping them be better at what they do. Now, the vision of LinkedIn, which we consider our true north, what we aspire to be able to achieve, is around creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. So whereby the total workforce is around 3 billion globally. So we really, really want to help everyone to be able to be better at what they do. And we manifest that in what we call the economic graph. So these are the key pillars of information that we look to gather so that we can actually help global economies to be able to analyze how we can grow, how different countries can develop their industries, develop their people. And we look at 6 key metrics around members. We've got around 560 million globally, almost 2 million members here in Vietnam. We've got over 20 million companies that those members work for, around 15 million jobs that those companies are looking to hire for, 50,000 different skills that the people have. And we know that the skills people have today are not the skills that are going to be they're going to require for the jobs of tomorrow. So with that, we also have a lot of institutions that help people gain those skills, and we have over 60,000 different schools and educational facilities. And then lastly, it's about the knowledge that all you people here share to be able to help each other be better at what you do. So around 11 million updates on a daily basis. So what I want to do today is really tell you the story of the journey that LinkedIn have been on around diversity and inclusion. This is a post from Mike Gampson, who is our global head of solutions. He's our second in command at LinkedIn. And back in 2014, he came to the Hong Kong office. I was the first person in the Hong Kong office, and he and I had a meeting where he shared a story about had a meeting in San Francisco with his executive team. And someone came up to him and said, like, do you realize that there's only like one female in our entire executive team? And he had like a epiphany and a light bulb moment where he realized that he'd been with LinkedIn for 6 or so years, but what he'd done is he'd hired people all around him that were exactly like him. Now, in a startup environment, that's often the case that you will invite people that you know into the business or within the networks that you have. But he had come to realize that actually his entire executive team was made up of clones, made up of obviously very bright people, very smart, very proficient professionals, but the diversity of thought and the diversity of background, ethnicity, gender was not there. And he vowed at that point in 2014 that it had to change. And at that point, 6% of our executive leadership team were female. And so that really started the journey. And what I'd like to do is just to sort of take it, like that develop the strategy that Mike put in place around 3 key pillars. So around hiring and growing a diverse talent force. So not just bringing diverse talent into the business, but allowing them to flourish. And investing and be the place where that talent is allowed to thrive. And then bringing a culture to inspire a community of belonging within tech. So around hiring the best people, investing in them within the business where they thrive, and then building a culture of belonging. So when we talk about diversity inclusion, I like to use the Oxford English Dictionary version. We look at diversity, and the definition is the quality of state of having many different forms, types, and ideas, etc. And that can manifest itself in many ways. You're all from very different industries, whether it be manufacturing, engineering, sales and marketing, advertising, tech. And the way that diversity is very different for each and every one of your organizations. And inclusion is the action or state of being included or of being within a group or structure. Now, diversity and inclusion is necessary, but it's not sufficient. And when we looked at it as an organization, we really thought that belonging was the key part to linking that. And belonging is about being authentic, is about bringing your true self to work, feeling like you matter, and being an essential part of your team. And that is where we came up with the acronym DIBS. And the best way to describe this in an analogy is diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is about being asked to dance. but belonging is having your favorite song being played. And really, for LinkedIn, this is about developing a team of superheroes that work together to achieve our common goal, to achieve our mission and our vision. And so if engagement is the outcome, is the thing that we'll measure, and diversity and inclusion is the foundation, then that sense of belonging is the thing that will bring it all together. Now, to give you a bit of an idea about some of our strategies in Asia Pacific, really one of our, when it comes to belonging, there's a few key things we do to try and enable employees to have that sense of belonging. It really starts with when they join the organization. We will do things like, they'll have a welcome pack at their desk, they'll have helium balloons in their desk, so everyone knows there's a new starter there. I had a colleague start recently, and I threw a party around our desk where we made cocktails and made them feel welcome to the organization. We're very lucky to have free lunch every day, but this creates an environment where everyone can sit down together and share different views, different opinions, and different backgrounds. Every leader within our organization goes through what we call manage in training, where it's a really structured training we believe that every employee deserves to have a great manager. And we believe that every manager needs to lead with compassion. And so that's really drummed into every one of our leaders. We make it really important to listen to our employees and include their voices. And we empower our employees to be able to lead on projects. And I'll talk about that within the employee resource groups that we have set up. We also solicit input. We get feedback from every one of our employees about what it's like to work for our organization, so we can help them and improve our organization. I heard a mobile phone go off there as well. We have a even though we're a technology company, in meetings we have a no technology policy, so where we can be present and really connect with our colleagues. And I'm here today sharing stories, but we love hearing the stories of all of our employees and sharing those across both the LinkedIn platform and internally. But there's much more that we do about to create that sense of belonging for our employees. So some of the key strategies that we do within the Asia Pacific region, we put every one of our employees through unconscious bias training, allowing people to understand their potential prejudices and to be able to navigate around them. And that's both from hiring people into the business, but then also developing their teams. We develop employee resource groups to help underrepresented or people within our organization, and we partner with external organizations on these initiatives. So here are some of our employee resource groups we set up. We have Enable In, which is to help disabled people within the organization to have a voice. We help for parents at LinkedIn, which helps both mothers and fathers. Out to In, which supports people within the LGBT plus community. And probably the most critical and the one I want to focus on today, which is our Women at LinkedIn, which encourages women to be their best selves and really for a goal to be able to increase our women in leadership, which is Mike Gampson's key priority for the entire business. It's one of his top 3 key priorities. And so some of the partnerships we have, we run at Connecting Women in Technology, and we work with Google, Facebook, a lot of the banks, a lot of the other tech organizations, and this is run by Women at LinkedIn, but we run many events to bring all of these groups together to elevate the women coming into the STEM industry, but also to help an educational piece as well. And one that I'm very passionate about, as I mentioned the story about my wife and I about male allies, and He for She is a fantastic organization around creating a male ally mentorship program. And here are some of the specific groups and initiatives that we have for gender diversity in Asia Pacific. I mentioned Women in Tech. Women at LinkedIn, we have someone in every country that will be a representative of a Women at LinkedIn. And one that I'm really passionate about is about developing leaders, a division called Empower In. And I was part of the organizing committee of this. And this is a 6-month program for our individual contributors and early career managers. And what we do within this program is we bring people together to be able to learn each other's stories. We bring our senior female executives in to be able to coach and mentor our aspiring leaders. We run training sessions, a session called Own the Room, which is about being able to present in a really in a strong way. And this is, as I say, this is a 6-month program. I had 2 of my team members attend this program, both of whom are interviewing for leadership roles in the organization now. Whereas prior to this program, they wouldn't have had the confidence or felt comfortable about putting their hat in the ring, about putting their hand up for these roles. So the word Empower In really rings true for this program. So you can't fix what you can't measure, and for us, it's really important for us to be able to measure how we're achieving success within this area. We actually at LinkedIn publish our diversity data. So this is the report from 2017. You'll see here that focusing on the gender diversity, as a global business, we have around 11,000 employees, 42% of which are female. Within our non-tech organization, so this is our sales, marketing, operations, it's actually, we're above parity on for having women in the organization. Tech is an area that we do struggle. And I think, as I mentioned around STEM, and we'll talk about it a little bit in the other talks later, this is a challenge for all organizations within the tech industry. And getting women interested in the engineering, science, and technology is a really big challenge. This has grown, however. We were at 20% last year, so we are increasing our females in tech. And then this is probably the most critical. This is the one that we're really, really looking at with a laser-like focus. We currently have 38% of our leaders that are female, which is not where we want to be. We want to be at parity. But considering where we came from 3 years ago, we were at 25%. So we really have made a true leap forward in terms of having more women leading our businesses across the world. And lastly on the measure, every 6 months we run what we call the Employee Voice Survey. So this is a survey of all 11,000 of our employees to really understand what their experience is like working at LinkedIn. And engagement is one of our key metrics. And we ask many questions around people's sense of belonging with an organization. And actually we've seen this grow from 80% just 2 years ago to 91% now. And that's an NPS score of 91, which even for the tech industry is off the charts. So just back to, before I go into this quote, just back to Mike Gampson. So as I said, he had 6% of his executive leadership team that were female back in 2014. That number's actually grown to 30% now. So we're definitely making strides forward. And to quote Martin Luther King, like, we're all at different stages of this journey, but if you can't fly, then you run. If you can't run, then you walk. If you can't walk, then you crawl. But you must keep moving forward. And for us, this is a journey. We still haven't achieved the parity that we're looking for, but we're getting close. And so what I'd like you to sort of take away from my talk today, 5 key points. I think, firstly, it's important to understand where you are at the moment, to look at the data, understand where you are in terms of your gender diversity, but also across many areas, ethnicity, age, and to understand what the current state is. And then when you decide on a strategy and what areas you're going to focus on, it's really important to engage and encourage your employees to own the transformation, to own the initiatives that you put in place. Our employee resources group, so for our women at LinkedIn for Asia Pacific, is run by one of our salespeople. She's a key account manager based in Singapore. It's not our senior executives that run these. This is owned by our employees that have skin in the game, that really want to make a difference. But having said that, it's really important to get executive buy-in. Without Mike Gampson, without our CEO Jeff Weiner wanting this to change, wanting it to improve, it wouldn't. So it's absolutely critical that your senior executives are on board here and are looking to drive this forward. Partnering with the organizations is also critical. Navigos here in Vietnam is one of our key partners in the region, and being able to align with someone to help you with that talent pool, to help you bring the right people into your business to address these challenges is key. And then partnering with external organizations such as He for She to help put on events, to help work on these initiatives, to help that sense of belonging within your organization. And lastly, you can't fix what you can't measure. Publishing your diversity data may be a stretch too far, but it's still critical for you to be able to do it internally. Running an employee voice survey, for me, should be mandatory. You can't just go by what people are saying to your senior execs. You need to have an anonymous survey to get and elicit that feedback from your employees, to get a real, true pulse of what's happening within your organization. So that's it for me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. We will be having a panel later if you want to engage in that. But yeah, if not any questions, thank you very much.